Welcome to the Mano show here on CKMS 102.7 Mano. Now, what you just heard, you heard a whole bunch of stuff, some cursed arrows, some, I don't even remember what we heard before that. We just heard a couple cursed arrows back to back. But I have got a special interview, performance, right now, and Mano, I'm going to get it up there, is releasing this album. DJs come in here all the time and interview people, and the Mano show is lucky to have Jeff McKenna of, is that how you say your last name? McKenna? Yeah.
McKenna.
Okay, McKenna. Just kidding, I know Jeff McKenna well.
I'm lucky to be here.
Well, it's so great, especially because I think we just posted on the YouTube page an interview that was recorded a little while ago with Liang Dino Chang. And he came into the studio and was talking a little bit about your tour and your support for this album. And it's awesome that you can come in as well. And he was talking, well, I guess we'll jump right into it. The album, it's up on the Mano Bandcamp for those people who out there who are listening on the Facebook. Who are listening on the FM. If you are on our webpage, if you click the Listen Live link, you can go right to our live stream and you can watch this as well. We've got the link up there, the Mano Bandcamp, where this album, The Lizard Tree, is being released. Now, Liang, when in his interview, he mentioned how he was touring all across Ontario and was playing in Toronto and Waterloo and up in Montreal. But you also have just kind of completed and are coming back from a tour across the U.S. where you were in Colorado. I believe it was, Denver, Colorado, if I'm not mistaken. And
yep, we went all the way to the Midwest, made our way back, played a lot of great places in Michigan to play. We did more scenery out in the open air shows, really intimate settings. That was kind of fits with the style of the music, and it worked out really well. Great places all across the Midwest.
Now, when you guys tour, does Liang tour with you, or do you kind of have different sets, or you kind of work with whoever's there? Or how does that work?
Yeah, it's tricky because we're just releasing this album, and then we're not going to actually tour for a while until the end of September. We're getting back together. We're going to do just a smaller provincial thing. Ontario, we might go into Quebec a bit, but typically we do, well, the shows together. It's a two-man band for the most part, but members come and go. I know that Liang has done some live shows in Montreal. That's where he lives now. So we are far apart, but when we can make the time to get together, we throw some shows together.
Cool. Now, for people listening anywhere on the YouTube and the FM, this is some of their stuff, some of the Lizard Tree, right in the background that we're listening to as we're doing the interview here. As I'm listening to it, and as I listen to Liang kind of describe it, it sounds on the spot and spontaneous. And like you were saying, kind of how the shows are a little bit spontaneous. When you're doing the recording, because it's so spontaneous, are there a lot of songs that kind of get thrown out, or how does the recording process kind of go?
We would meet up and do these little sessions, and it was all spontaneous, all live, and then just rough recordings. And then what we decided to do was take the top 8 or so, 7, and record them, in better quality. Just because when you're recording with one mic in the room, the drums will be louder than the guitar here. You can't mix it well when it's separated. So from those sessions where we had different people join us, we chose the top 7 songs or so and re-recorded those. The song that we just listened to was the one song that we did live on just for the first time. That was
Yeah.
the one song we'd never played before.
At the Lizard Tree.
At the Lizard Tree, right. And so I felt like that was kind of the style in which we did, was just improvise on the fly. So starting with this song was kind of key because it was the first song that, the one and only song on this album that was recorded and made on the spot. No rehearsing or anything beforehand.
Cool. So as you're kind of going through these tracks, and we were talking about how you're doing some live sets and things like that. At the live shows, do you mainly focus on the songs from the albums and stuff like that, or is it, are there on the spot performances? Like it's a song kind of like what I'm hearing that we might see later tonight, like something made up for that performance.
Yeah, we do a lot of on the fly, just whatever is working. Sometimes, we make terrible mistakes and there's lulls and bad screw ups and mistakes, but then in those little pockets you get those moments of just perfect improvisation, and it fits well, and for that, section of 2-3 minutes or however long, it just works. So yeah, we like to improvise on the fly. And maybe, I know it's only one half of the Green Tree Frogs are here, but maybe we'll throw something together.
Nice.
Kind of on the fly. I was messing around with some things, and we'll see.
All right, we'll see what
happens.
comes of it. Yeah. Now, as I'm looking through the recordings for the various different songs there, some songs have got like some type of organ. Some of them have got just an acoustic guitar and a hand drum. Some have got, it seems like a trumpet, harmonica, tambourines. You were saying the shaker egg. So
You
there's
gotta
a
have
whole,
the shaker egg. That's
Yeah?
a key instrument.
the most key instrument.
Yeah, it's good to just keep around. Definitely don't tuck it away. Don't file it away. It's so small. Keeping time. It's key.
Okay. Well, how do you choose for any particular song what instruments are going to be a part of that song?
In the live show or in the recording?
In the recording. So you sit down, you want to play a track.
For all these recordings, really it was typically just, repeating old sessions that we did. We had a track, we like this one, and we try and figure out what we do. Playing, just practicing and playing spontaneously in these sessions, just have instruments everywhere, pick up, change things. So that's how the different amount of instruments gets added into the songs. But I guess for recording, we typically just did 2 takes live together. So it'd be guitar, typically guitar, drums. And then we would overdub, other instruments like the trumpet. I did my first ever trumpet solo on this album.
Is that on Pamplona?
Yep, that's right. So it's just when there's these pockets or little voids or empty space that needs to be filled, or can take the song somewhere else, then we'll just add an extra track.
Cool. And on the Bandcamp, it says, and you get this right away from the first track at the Lizard Tree, where there's kind of like the I don't know if it's frogs or crickets or whatever in the background. This outdoor kind of feeling throughout the record, and this organic in the sense that you kind of sat down and just jammed these songs out and then re-recorded them, but organic also in the sense of like an outdoorsy feel to them. Is that kind of an intentional way that you went with this album?
Yeah, definitely. And for the first track, because that was no practicing, that was a song that we just made on the spot. We felt like that's why the album starts with At the Lizard Tree. It's the live take, it's what the live show is, it's how we made this music. But then all the other songs, because they were recorded for a second time in a better quality, that's when we go into the studio and you hear from the Lizard Tree into the studio.
Nice.
So that's
then is Back to the Lizard Tree. It almost sounds like it's a one-take type thing too. 55 seconds of kind of on the spot and someone taking off out of the room or something.
Yeah, that was taken from one of the sessions that we did it was a song that we never got to. We just ran out of time in making this, so it was a song that I wanted to remake, and so I just thought I may as well include it. Just a bit of it.
Yeah.
To get a taste of what that song was.
Well,
but it's one of the ones that I wish we could have done in better quality.
Develop further. Interesting. Because I find, and I enjoyed the album from start to end, and I like how you've got there a full day at the Lizard Tree, because it does seem like a concept album where you put the whole thing on, and almost, it's not entirely post-rock, because as people are hearing in the background here, I believe this is Starlight that's coming on. There is some vocals throughout different tracks, but it is almost like an album that takes you through a journey, or a full day at the Lizard Tree, as you may say.
Yeah, I like, and I think I can speak for Liang in this case, I like full albums, listening to an album from front to back. So we tried to divide up the songs for each, but yeah, I think this album is better listened to front to back as a whole, one record or one song. But you're right that it kind of ties in. If it's on a loop, it kind of it's going in and out of the Lizard Tree to the studio and back, so it kind of loops continuously.
Cool. Liang was also talking about this on the other interview, where the Green Tree Frogs don't have a huge social media or tech footprint, and how that's almost not a full-on intentional thing, but it's like that's a whole nother dynamic that people have to focus on that, and that's not what the band wants to be the focus.
Yeah, I don't like throwing things on the interweb for clicks and likes, but not that there's anything wrong with that. It's a great way to get your music out there and get exposure, but I think our mindset is that we'll just release it, and who wants to hear it can hear it, and spread the word through radio. We do end up on the internet. We're on the great Mano
Bandcamp page.
page.
Make sure to search manoemanoradio.bandcamp.com.
So yeah, we'll just put it out, and it is free. So we're not trying to, become millionaires off this. Though it is pay what you want on the album. So if anyone wants to pay $1 million, that option is available.
And I think Bandcamp takes a sufficient portion of that. But I must say too, because I kind of see the sales on the Mano a Mano Bandcamp, and the Green Tree Frogs are already the second best-selling album on the Mano a Mano Bandcamp.
Whew, I didn't know that. And this is some stats.
That's right, and it was just released today or yesterday. I think I meant to say that it was going to be released on the 12th, but I wrote the 11th because I thought today was the 11th. So it says that it was released yesterday, but it was actually released today.
Maybe that helped with the sales. People got in extra suspense and were just searching the internet for it.
Could be.
That's a good marketing strategy.
Maybe,
Let's keep that up.
Mano a Mano does some very non-mainstream marketing type things. So, I don't know, maybe that's one that we got to write down. Yeah, that one worked. Naming the band, naming the album. Where do these ideas come from?
I think Liang had a formula for what makes a good band name. It's got to be 3 words. There's got to be a color, an adjective, and a noun, I think. And then it just came right away, right from that.
Wow.
He knew what would make a good name. And actually, he named The Lizard Tree the album. That was news to me. I think it was on CKMS, maybe on the Electrifying Sessions. I think he was on that show.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah. And he announced the name The Lizard Tree at that point. It was news to me.
Wow.
So yeah, he gets all the credit for the naming, for sure.
Holy smokes. So now, where it's kind of like on the spot, even like that, anyone can just throw something out and kind of, because I feel like the one song in his interview. He's talking about the song, and I love his story about the song Starlight. But I feel like that song went through a name change. Was it originally called Checkerboard Floors or something, as he's referring to in the thing?
Right, yeah. I forgot about that. I think it was Checkerboard Floors. And I think it tied in... That was the original name after a starlight night here in local Waterloo.
Yeah.
I think they have checkerboard floors in Starlight.
Or they may have, yeah. Because that's what he's referring... Or they used to or whatever, because that's what he was referring to in his story, which I thought was such an interesting story, where how you guys went out to the Starlight, went back, created that Starlight Jam, and how he says like that's the best way how he'll always remember that night because of that musical recording around it. Which is so when you guys are playing live and things like that, do you record those live sessions to maybe capture that moment? And if you do like an on-the-spot great performance, incorporate that for a future album?
Yeah, definitely. I think I like to, I've been recording these sessions and storing them. It's the thing though, in doing that, you end up with a big backlog. And there's a point where it's hard to look back and try and recreate old things. And you, at the same time, want to look forward and do different things and move on. So it's kind of finding that balance. A lot gets thrown out, but that's kind of the nice thing about the sessions. And maybe they'll be made available. I'm not sure, but is that there's those little pockets of 2 or 3 minutes or maybe 1 minute or 30 seconds of a song that's great, but it might just stay in that 30 seconds and never see the light of day again. But yeah, there's definitely a backlog and some things that I'm hoping to do.
Do you have any songs written yet about horny goats?
You know, a lot of the songs, I haven't written a song about horny goats, but I know that Liang has started a lot of the songs, written them, and then we've evolved them. And he has a lot of experience with the horny goats. Yeah. And last I knew, he was working on...
That's what he said, yeah.
Right. So, I don't know. I'll get back to you on that one. I'll look into it.
For people who have no idea what we're talking about with the horny goats, you got to go and listen to the other Green Tree Frogs interview, which is posted on the Mano a Mano YouTube page. That apparently he went and lived with goats that were all in heat, and he was telling a story about that, and he was asked if he had a song about it, and he said that he may create a song about horny goats.
Right. Yeah, Liang he does farming, and so he lives out in, I think right now in Quebec, but he goes a lot over northern Ontario, and so yeah, he has to deal with these horny goats, but sometimes I would go out and visit, and we would jam. And yeah, you know what? There's probably horny goat influence in some of the jams, just because
of their
comes with the terrain,
pheromones. Yeah,
they're peeing everywhere. Right?
It's right on their heads, and he gets covered in it, and then just starts playing.
Yeah, how can that not influence the song, your life, everything?
Yeah. Just how well you're able to change chords on the guitar with your hands covered in urine. Yeah. Anyway, so Liang was talking about a little bit too the Montreal scene, and as I was listening to him describe that, I was kind of thinking there are a lot of people who have come on the Mano a Mano show and discussions about how the Waterloo music scene for playing live is a little bit of a snobby kind of music scene as well, which is why a lot of cool bands, and I personally like seeing bands better this way, where you guys had played at the Trepid House a while back, and then you were talking about various house shows at after the Trepid House closed, down the alley and Pepler House and things like that, which have also since closed. Where's the next, like, how do you, is there a different mindset or approach to a house show as opposed to maybe a club show?
I think that it just helps that we're an acoustic set, really, an acoustic guitar, acoustic small drums, and so I think we have the option to be more in an intimate setting like a house show. But I think, to answer your question, I think the next thing, and something we've been doing and loving, is open air shows. So just outside in different spots, just setting up, announcing an event to friends to come see a show, join, play. So I think that's the next. I know the Trepid House in these areas are closing, but I think open air shows, which is tricky to do in some ways if you have big instruments or having electricity for certain things. But when you can do it,
nice, because actually that is how I was talking with you and brought you in here, because right now is the Blues Festival in Kitchener at Victoria Park, and one of the Liang was up just recently, and you guys just set up at Victoria Park and were playing the Blues Festival, not as part of on the main stage and like things like that, but you guys were in the park performing and drawing people as they went up to the boathouse or that area where the festival was being held.
Yeah, that's right. We weren't on the poster, I guess you could say that. But yeah, when there's a space available and people are out to see music, why not, find that area in between stages down a nice alleyway where, there's a lot of foot traffic, people can come and go. Yeah, taking advantage of those situations is, well, having that opportunity to take on those open air shows and just have a good night.
Yeah.
Play some music.
Cool. If you could have any superpower, what would it be?
This is a great question. One I've been struggling with for a long time. Do you think knowledge could be a superpower?
I think that is probably the best answer that you could say.
Yeah. I've been thinking about that one for years. Because really, what's the Cumberbatch? Mysterio? It just was a marvel. He's kind of that guy. He's the all-knowing.
I don't know. But he must be typecast into that role, because he's on Sherlock, and in Sherlock he's knows everything too. He walks in a room and can tell everything about you.
So he's the know-it-all guy. I think he was Alan Turing too, who's he invented programming.
Programming and cracked the
German codes.
Is it the German codes?
I think so. Maybe
something like that. Yeah. So now, yeah. So that seems like a good superpower that I would want as well.
Yeah. I can't think of his name, what that superhero is called though. But you know who I mean, right?
Yeah.
He can change dimensions and all with his mind.
I don't watch it, but I've seen him on a poster as something. Yeah. Okay. Now, well, this question is kind of maybe not applicable because of all the different instrumentation that you've got here, and maybe this is directly related to this, but you're also a member of the Robot Apocalypse Collective, and they are very different. They seem they're almost reliant on technology to do all these collaborations over the internet and are very technology based. When you're writing, is it difficult to separate the two and write more acoustically for a Green Tree Frog, or maybe not necessarily acoustically, but with more acoustic instrumentation for a Green Tree Frogs album?
I mean, I like the digital era of music. I think there's a lot of things you can do. I think with the Green Tree Frogs, it was really just kind of a necessity thing. Where Liang was living, and where we would have these jams on these farms in northern Ontario, there wasn't electricity actually in a lot of the cabin or house that he was living in. So it was just out of necessity. We couldn't plug into anything. It was acoustic guitar and a few drums, and so it was really just the necessity of not having a plug. But I embrace the digital era of music. I think there's a lot of things you can do.
Yeah.
Sampling, DJing.
So do you think
a great time for music?
Would that be something that Green Tree Frogs delves into possibly in the future, or only time will tell?
Yeah, only time will tell. I guess it depends where future Green Tree Frogs albums are written.
Right.
Yeah, we'll see. Hopefully, I think so. I would say so.
All right. Do you have anything else that you kind of want to plug or things like that before we'll get you to set up here, and then we'll possibly go into a live performance before we jump into some of the album here?
Sure. No, just that the album's available. It's yours. Robot Apocalypse is another, you mentioned that just a few minutes ago, another great album that I think is free online, also from the Mano site. And this, when we can get a zoom into this, it's great.
We can't really zoom in, but
I don't want to do product placement, but we'll just leave it at that.
Okay. So we've got the Beaches A Bay right there as well. I'm calling up at the ManoAMano.com, or sorry, not .com. That's completely closed down. I shut that down today, actually. ManoAManoRadio.bandcamp.com is where you can get all those albums. Robot Apocalypse, Green Tree Frogs. In fact, you're also a member of the Cyanide Kiss band that's up on there as well, which is an older kind of release, but it was re-released of some of the stuff from...
Right, just recently remastered.
Yeah, remastered
That's hard
and
to say.
Released. Re-released. No, just released.
Anyways, yeah, it just came out, and yeah, it's available online too.
Yep, all that stuff up on ManoAMano.com is free, along with the electrifying adventures of DJ Jeffy Jeff, who used to be a programmer here at the CKMS station. It includes some Mano details and things like that. As well, what we used to do was post a whole bunch of the live to airs. Man, we haven't added to this. Maybe we'll have to start a new album of live to airs, or maybe we'll just still add to this. But ManoAManoRadio.com is a thing of the past. 100.3 Sound FM is a thing of the past. It is now 102.7, so we may have to make a brand new live to air album also right here on the ManoAMano Bandcamp page. All of it free. We're going to jump into some from the album here while Jeff sets up his rig. And when we come back, we're going to hear some on the spot, made up today.
That's right. Yeah. So we'll call this a Green Tree Frogs album. Really what I did was I took an egg, because at the lizard tree there's a lot of reptiles. I took an egg and I'm going to play the egg, but I have to bring it back tonight. So it'll just be a quick performance. Bring the egg back before anyone notices. So this is straight from the lizard tree.
We got the setup here in the background. If you're watching on YouTube, we'll be able to check out this performance. If you're listening on the FM, awesome. I would also go and check out the YouTube page after, because you're going to be able to see this live here in the studio. Coming up soon, we're going to get to some Green Tree Frogs off the lizard tree as he's setting up, and as we come back, we'll have some live Green Tree Frogs right here on 102.7 Mano a Mano.
Where's it coming from? Are we on? Okay, where's the mic?
It's just everywhere. It's built in.
Really?
Yeah, it's recording us, see?
Wait, that was off.
Things up and freaking
There. Yeah.
I don't remember what I was playing.
Like he's alright, feels like starshine. Like he's alright, feels like moonlight. Starshine feels like moonlight. Like he's on white, feels like starshine. Like he's on white, feels like moonlight. Like he's on white, feels like starshine. Like he's on white, just play through the errors and have this one, because the last gear change didn't really display anything. So this one would be an improvement on the last one regardless.
All right, there it is. You just heard a couple tracks right there. At the Lizard Tree, Blackbird, and Starlight. We've got Jeff here, and he is going to perform some Green Tree Frog stuff for us live. And this is, I just want to put this out there, this is live improvised on the spot. We're not even sure that the setup will work. We just created it on the spot, and we're gonna try some stuff here. So here we go.